This is The Sisters of Dorley by Alyson Greaves, read by Robin Nolan. Chapter 13, Driftwood. 2019, October 27th to the 31st. Sunday, Day 1, no boobs yet. Monday, Day 2, no boobs yet. Tuesday, Day 3, no boobs yet. Wednesday, Day 4, no boobs yet. Thursday, Day 5, no boobs yet. Aaron knocked on my door this morning and asked if my nipples were sensitive, but I think he's just trying to get me to look at his chest again. He is definitely not developing faster than I am. It's only been 5 days. 2019, November 1st, Friday, Day 6, no boobs yet. Maybe Aaron is developing faster than I am. It'd just be my luck. Christine's notes. Don't do this to yourself, Steph. Stefan's notes. Stop reading my diary entries and stop hogging all the double-strength estrogen. Maybe you can gaslight Pippa into injecting you twice on Saturday. Once in the morning, once in the evening, just to make sure to present the other thigh. Were you born unhelpful, or is it a skill you developed in some kind of torture basement? I cultivated it entirely on my own. You have to be a little bit of a douche every day. It's a whole regimen. You're doing really, really well. You know, we could have this conversation over consensus like normal people. We're not normal people. Besides, I'm enjoying how passive-aggressive this is. I have to admit, your punctuation is better in this format for some reason. How's my punctuation now? I'm viewing these on my phone and it messes with the line structure, so I'm going to assume you're breaking out the ASCII art solely to express your undying love for me. It's a middle finger. In a way, it does express my undying love for you. How sweet. I'm impressed though. You couldn't have Googled that. Does that mean you know how to type it in from memory? It's literally the only transferable skill I retained from my junior school computer classes. 2019, November 2nd, Saturday, Day 7. 1 week on estradiol. I'm doing my second injection today sometime, probably this morning. I know Pippa's seeing Ronnie tonight, and she wouldn't want to be weighed down with sponsor stuff in the evening. It's their first real date since they met a week ago. I hope it goes well, but I admit to being a bit jealous. It's lonely down here. Yes, I have Aaron and the others, and that's fine, in its way, but I have to be the same edited version of myself that I was with Russ. The same version of myself that I am with Pippa, even. I hate that I never see anyone who knows me. The last time was with Abby, though, and I freaked out at her, so maybe it's better I keep myself in check. It hurts to see other people getting on with their lives while I'm stuck. Oh well. At least I'm ... stuck with bloody estradiol and goserelin swimming around inside me. Even if their effects on my body thus far have been underwhelming. I can feel it in my head, though. Starting goserelin was like turning off a pair of speakers that have been blaring awful music into my head all my life, and I was in silence for a little while there. Now estradiol's starting up new music that I like, and fuck, this metaphor sucks ass. I hope Ronnie's good enough for Pippa. She deserves some happiness. Sometimes she seems so sad and I really want to hug her, but we're not there yet. I think she still sometimes sees the bad guy when she looks at me, like she remembers who I'm supposed to be. Not often, but enough to keep a little distance between us. Still, she held my hand when she found me crying that one time. Okay, those 2 times. Doing that a lot more now. Before it was like, I don't know, a storm. A really bad one. One of the ones they have to get a name, and that comes once a year and knocks down buildings. Now it's like normal, boring rain showers. I still get wet, but it's not the end of the world. I'm terrible at metaphors. I'm discovering this about myself now. Glad I took linguistics and not creative writing. Christine, if you read this, you nosy cow, I'll come at you with my morning Weetabix. You won't stand a chance. It's hard as rock and it barely qualifies as food. Christine's notes. Ah, the many cruelties of Dorley. 2019, November 9th, Saturday. Alarm at 7. It's loud and mindlessly musical, like an orchestra warming up. He has no control over the time it goes off, nor the music, nor the volume, but he's refused Pippa's offer to ask permission to change it. Keeping the same schedule as everyone else is good for the roles he's playing, for his stability. Because when he rolls out of bed and checks himself in the mirror and sees no progress, no changes, it's hard to swallow it all and prepare for another day of doing essentially nothing. Routine keeps him in check where optimism fails. He came here, he stayed here, he gave up on years of his life for this, to break his body, strip its flesh, burn it back to the bone and start again, to become new. So he waits. Stefan covers himself. He wears joggers and a robe to the shower so he doesn't have to be naked to the last possible moment, and he pulls them on, stretching the sleeves to the knuckles, closing the robe to the neck. He buzzes his face with the electric razor, picks up his wash kit, and heads to the bathroom. They still have designated time slots to wash up in the morning thanks to Declan, supposedly, but he's rarely allowed out of a cell and never when anyone else is around. Showering in shifts is, like the plastic cutlery, just another step in the gradual tightening of restrictions that was always, one way or another, going to happen. Christine said something about that. Like Dorley, especially in the first year, is like a checkers board. There's only so many moves to be made, and sooner or later, as a group, you'll make all of them. At least the sponsors wait outside while they wash now. Pip is doing. Aaron, late as usual, takes the shower next to his and starts running through his routine at double speed, making up for lost time. Stefan, hair and body already washed, conditioner soaking in, enjoys the hot water. Below scolding, this time and every time, and laughs at the shampoo bottle slips out of Aaron's soapy hands. I'm gonna have to bend over to get this, Aaron says, and before I do, he presents a cautionary finger. I want you to know that there is no unsexy way for me to do this. I'm just gonna have to bend down, and you, somehow, are gonna have to cope. Stefan nonetheless retreats to a safe distance. You could bend at the knees instead. Very unsexy. What? Aaron says, his rear end elevated. Can't hear you down here. He wiggles his bottom for emphasis. Stefan resists the temptation to step forward smartly and slap it. It'd be funny, probably, but the message it would send is not the one Stefan wants to endorse. Because over the last couple of weeks, Aaron's gotten more physically demonstrative, a lot more forward with his backside, and Stefan can't decide if the boy is teasing him or if he is genuinely trying, perish the thought, to flirt. The idea is distracting enough that he almost swallows shower water and coughs it up with the help of a few slaps to the back. He decides, when Aaron's hand doesn't linger, that the little perv behaves exactly as one ought to behave in the situation, that he's imagining things. Besides, Aaron likes girls. That's what those dick pics were about. Life down here is strange enough without convincing himself that Aaron, of all people, is coming on to him. So, Aaron says, straightening up and starting work with the shampoo, did you hear we're due our next round of dick deflation? What? The Gossarellin. You know, the implant? The thing they stuck in our bellies when we got here that suppresses all of our snips and stales and severely limits the function of our puppy dog tails. It's been like a month. Longer for me, actually. And I don't know about you, but I'm itching for a new belly bump. He finishes rinsing out the shampoo, then puffs out his stomach, cradling it in his hands like an expectant mother. I don't know. Stefan pretends to think about it, but it makes sense. Yeah, Aaron holds out the conditioner bottle. Rub it in for me? What? Why? He makes a show of stretching. I slept funny. My shoulder's sore. My World War I injury is acting up. I have a fear of reaching above my head. My wrists only move counterclockwise. A bottle of conditioner killed my father. I'm very weak, and I don't think I can rub hard enough, and you have those long fingers. Aaron, just help me out, would you? I'm tired. He interrupts himself with a huge yawn that doesn't inspire one in Stefan. Faked. And I kind of want you to do nothing more than sit down and stare at something interesting until it does the magic eye thing. Like you, I bet you'd look like a Picasso. Fine. Stefan snatches the conditioner bottle out of Aaron's hand and with a firm grasp on the shoulder, turns him away. When he starts spreading the conditioner through Aaron's hair, the boy makes moaning noises. Aaron, what are you doing? Relax, Aaron says, twisting his head as far as he can to grin at Stefan. I'm just teasing. Stefan turns Aaron's head back towards the front. Don't. Aw, but you seem so secure in your masculinity. I can't help but give a little prod. What does my masculinity have to do with anything? Steph, Aaron says, trying to turn around again and failing. Stefan's palms lie flat against the side of his head, holding him in place. It has everything to do with everything at this place. Like with the second round of Gossarellin. What are the chances, do you think, that we're in for another round of very manly rebellion from Will and Raph and all the others who fought back before? Stefan shrugs, rinses his hands, turns his own shower to cold and starts finger-combing his hair under the water until it runs clear. He's almost pleased to have a moment's thought to a sensible question for once. After the nurse? Low. Unless the Mean Girls try something. Mean Girls. Aaron's nickname for Raph, Ollie and Declan. Not one Stefan would have chosen, too obvious, although if it has a saving grace, it's that none of the boys appear to have seen the movie. Maria smirks every time Aaron says it. Exactly my point, Aaron says, whirling around, finger first. That nurse was softening us up. We had weapons pointed at us, and we were borderline sexually assaulted. No borderline about it. And now we're all just going to calmly submit to the next indignity. We've been manipulated into suppressing our natural masculine responses for fear of reprisal. Stefan can't help it. You have natural masculine responses? Where? Maria, Aaron shouts. Steph's being mean to me again. Maria, waiting just around the corner, out of sight, yells back. Good. Everyone's a critic. Aaron rinses his conditioner. Too soon, in Stefan's opinion, but he always times it so they finish their showers together, and Stefan just got done with his, and shuts off the water. Anyway, Steph, we're all kind of softening up. In more ways than one. I know you've noticed. And you, just for example, don't seem to be particularly bothered by the prospect of another month on the floppy dick juice. Less bothered than I am, even, and all it's done for me is made my wanks more challenging. Stefan's bad at remembering to dislike the implant. Principal among its many beneficial effects is that he hasn't had an unwanted erection for weeks, although the downside was it took him 4 days to fill the sperm cup, given his reluctance to coax the old boy into life with a bit of soft music and gentle yanking, as per Aaron's suggestion. Pippa, for reasons she hasn't yet explained, covered for him with Maria, claiming to have dropped his first sample. What would be the point in caring, he says. I feel like I say this over and over again, but they have tasers, Aaron, and the battens, and the keys to many, many locks. You don't think we should fight even a little? No. Aaron claps him on the back. Good. Ha, shit, Steph, that's all the excuse I need to just sit down and take it. Fighting's for idiots, you know? He quickly wraps his robe around himself. Maria, I'm ready for my emasculation now. Pippa, waiting with Maria, intercepts Stefan as they leave. Hey, she says, touching him gently on the shoulder. Heard you talking about the new Gossarellin shot. Are you really ready for it? I know it's not a good thing. She looks sideways at Maria, who is preoccupied with Aaron. But it's the rules. We can do the vitamin jab at the same time. Get it all over with at once, you know? That way you won't be waiting around for... She's starting to babble. Yeah, Stefan says, cutting in. Sure. Her eyes are everywhere but on him, and he has to remind herself she doesn't know. She thinks she's deceiving him. The vitamin shot? Maybe that's the barrier between them? Not her perception of him, but her perception of herself. Her fingers stiffen on his shoulder. I can get one of the others to do it, if you'd rather. It's fine, Stefan says. The smile is easy to make genuine, and he reaches to cover up Pippa's hand with his own. I'm not going to make a fuss. Maybe you should, she whispers and bites her lip. Hey, Pip, he says, I won't. She looks at him at last and is pleased to discover him smiling and brightens. She matches his smile, comes back to life and pushes him away with a laugh, shaking the water off her hand. Steph, you're all wet. She squeezes out a few more drops from his hair and flicks them at her. She evades, giggling as he leaves with Aaron. So, Aaron says, out in the corridor, normally alone together, are you two kissing or what? Who, me and Pippa? No, we're friends. Besides, she's dating someone. How do you even know that? Aaron shoves him gently. You really do have the Stockholm Syndrome, don't you? Stefan plasters the toothiest grin. What, you don't hug Maria? No, I think if I tried, I'd set up a bunch of booby traps hidden in her clothes. And hey, speaking of boobies... Nope, Stefan cuts him off and turns away to unlock his door before Aaron can get his nipples out again. I don't know why I have to keep telling you this, but reducing your testosterone is very unlikely to make you grow breasts. You're still just as flat-chested as I am, and now for the love of God, put some clothes on. Yeah. Maybe several extra layers to be safe, Stefan yells as Aaron's door closes behind him. He can't help checking himself in the mirror again. Aaron definitely isn't swelling up on the chest. He had ample opportunity to check in the showers, and did so to calibrate his expectations, but unfortunately, neither is he. A few minutes later, when he's dried and dressed, Pippa enters, carrying the vitamin injection kit and a slightly more intimidating Gossarellin implant needle, smiling apologetically, still remorseful about the lies. So he keeps up the chatter with her and tries to make it feel as normal and routine as possible. One in the thigh, another in the belly, and he's out the door again, waving Pippa goodbye and heading to the dining room for his rock-hard Weetabix. Aaron doesn't waste any time getting to the point. Ever since Will and Adam seem to finally resolve their ideological differences, Adam doesn't ever mention demons anymore, and Will hasn't called him a religidiot for weeks. It's generally Aaron who cuts through everyone's morning haze. The boy's mouth has no brakes. It's come to my attention, he says, that my sponsor, he air quotes with a Weetabix for emphasis, is aloof, highly critical, and physically undemonstrative, and I consider myself discriminated against in this regard. Thoughts? No thoughts, Stefan says. Eating. Aaron uses his Weetabix as a pointer. Steph has movie nights with his. Meanwhile, Maria treats me like a disobedient child. Perhaps if you didn't behave like a disobedient child, Will says, she might upgrade you to deeply unpleasant adult. You're one to talk. I've seen how Tabby treats you. If she could get behind a big sheet of glass and only touch you with those big rubber gloves they use to manipulate nuclear materials, she would. That's called professional detachment, Aaron. She's got a job to do, and no matter how much I don't like it, no matter how much I don't particularly like her, she's doing it. There's a whistle as the speakers in the ceiling activate, and Tabby, amid a small amount of microphone whine, says, William, that's the most sensible thing you've said this week. Will nods, satisfied. Hey, Aaron yells, looking up. Tell Maria I want more hugs from now on. The circuit board clicks off with a loud thump and a spit of feedback. Stefan imagines Maria in the security room, hitting a rocker switch slightly too hard. No hugs for you, Adam says, and Will grins, nudges him with his elbow. Getting it from all sides today, Aaron says. Martin, what about you? You best buds with Ella? Does she tuck you in at night? She hates me, Martin mumbles. Yeah, well, you did kill a guy. Adam, how's Eddie? She combs my hair, Adam says. He's not eating, just drinking a glass of oat milk and leaning his chin on his hand. It's true. She combs his hair. I've seen it, Will says. That's it, Aaron says, throwing down his plastic spoon. Maria! The speakers remain stubbornly silent for the rest of breakfast, denying Aaron his catharsis. And when Maria arrives to escort them into the common area, she doesn't respond to Aaron's outstretched hand and pleads to just hug it out. It's a little concerning that she's there. For the last week or so, they've been largely watched over remotely and left to deal with their own devices, except when one of the sponsors has something they want to say in person. Pippa says security room detail is preferable to standing around the corridor or sitting on the sofas at the back of the common area because they don't have to expend the extra effort to appear competent and menacing and can just talk, catch up on schoolwork, or more likely, as long as at least one girl is stays alert to the screens, nap. Maria ushers the five of them over to the sofas by the television. The area Stefan's group has essentially colonized, and Stefan's alarmed to realize that a lot of the other sponsors are back. Eddie, Adam's sponsor, leans against the wall by the TV. Tabby, Will's sponsor, sits on top of the cabinets by the storeroom. Jane and Harmony, attached to Raph and Ollie, are positioned at each of the central tables, watching over their charges who are sitting at another. A handful of faces that Stefan doesn't have names for, sponsors to second or third year girls most likely, are lounging around the entrance to the room. All of them are armed. What the hell is going on? Stefan's not the only one to notice it, and the conversation around the television is subdued. Adam and Will huddle slightly closer together than usual, and Aaron's complicated arrangement of legs is reduced simply to hugging his knees. Stefan, looking around, catches Maria's eye and mouths what's going on, but her only response is to shake her head. I don't like this, Adam whispers, leaning back against Will's shoulder. It's too tense. Stefan nods. He's been waiting for the other shoe to drop ever since their first estradiol injection. When one of the boys finally realizes he's growing breasts, it's all going to kick off, and presumably where the slow development of trust with a sponsor kicks in. But how does anyone who doesn't want it can be talked through it is still a mystery. Although Christine did warn him weeks ago that part of the rehabilitation process was, how did she put it? Prying their fingers off the driftwood of masculinity and forcing them to learn how to swim. He's known all along that he's living in the calm before the storm, but he's not ready for everything to go to shit just yet. Eventually, the reason for the amped up security becomes clear, and it's not that, say, Martin is getting a little chesty. Declan, escorted by Monica and two others, saunters back into the common room like he never left. He's wearing his hoodie open with no shirt underneath. While he looks perhaps a little meaner, he's no less intimidating a figure than he was when he attacked Stefan and Aaron in the showers and started all this. I thought you said he was so bruised he looked like a moldy orange, Will whispers, edging away from Adam and causing the other boy to have to shift his balance. Stefan couldn't have missed the dismayed looks on Adam's face if he'd been 100 meters away. That was 2 weeks ago, Will, Aaron whispers back. I assume they eventually stopped beating him when they found out you can't cure a dickhead with baton. Hi, Aaron, Declan says, sauntering over and leaning on the back of Stefan and Aaron's sofa. Hi, Stefan. Nice to see you both again. Hi, Declan, Aaron says, angling himself out of Declan's reach. How is life in the cell? Read any good books? You're so funny, Aaron. Well, you know, I try. It won't help you. All right, Monica says, tapping Declan on the shoulder with her baton. Come on, let's get you settled back into your room. I'm coming back for you, Declan says. You too, Stefan. No, you're not, Monica says, hooking around an arm around Declan's elbow and pulling. He steps back, shrugs her off and raises his hand. And for a second it looks like the shit show is about to start. Right here in the common room, but every sponsor in the room points their tasers at him and he smiles, flattens his palms in surrender and allows himself to be walked out of the room. He throws Aaron and Stefan a grin as the door closes behind him. You really had to let him out, Stefan says to Maria. Couldn't have kept him in there a couple of months? That's not how things work around here, Steph, Maria says, and she follows Monica, Declan, and half the other sponsors out into the corridor, leaving them almost alone. Fuck, Aaron says. The rooms on the second floor are arranged in twos, so their bathrooms can abut and share plumbing. And one of the consequences is that, for Christine, waking up in Paige's bed can be disorienting. The room is laid out in a perfect mirror image of her own. Once upon a time, it would have also been the room with the most clothes in by far, but since their shopping trip together 2 weeks ago, Christine and Paige have been twice more into town, looked through the smaller shops down by the river, and once down to London to poke around the massive cathedrals of commerce on Oxford Street, all in the name of both acclimating Christine to being seen as a normal girl and a pretty girl, Paige insists, by a variety of cisgender strangers, and accelerating her through 6 months of feminine development in a fortnight. Christine's room bulges with bags, boxes, and piles of clothes, cluttering to the point where Paige cleared a small space for her in Vicky's room, now almost consumed. Clothes, it turns out, are fun. What time is it? Paige moans, rolling over in bed and flopping her hand over Christine's chest. Ouch! Christine pushes her off for just long enough to pull Paige's arm tightly around her waist, where it can do useful things such as embrace her and not, for example, brush roughly against her sore nipples. I'm aching again. Be careful, she scolds. Sorry, says Paige with a grin, and uses her advantageous new position to kiss Christine on the cheek. If this is another growth spurt, I'm going to be so mad at you. Christine waits for Paige to pull back a little, and then she turns over, meeting her face to face and kissing her on the lips. Stay mad, she whispers. It's warm in the room, despite the November chill. Dorley Hall's centrally controlled heating is too miserly for Paige, who feels the cold. So she runs an electric heater on a timer and probably wipes out a reasonable percentage of the money saved in the process. So Christine kicks off the blankets, enjoying the sensation of the high thread count sheets, another influencer bonus, gliding smoothly over her waxed legs and suppressing a giggle. Her old self would have never gotten to discover how good that feels. Paige rolls over again, onto her back, causing her teardrop breast to flatten against her chest, and it's too tempting not to ambush her, to push up with an elbow and let the momentum carry her onto Paige's side of the bed, squashing one of her own breasts against Paige's ribs, slipping a cheeky hand into her underwear, searching. Thin scars buried under pubic hair, new since the last time they were together, in their second year. Christine's discovered them, kissed them, run her fingers over them, blessed them in every way she knows how, added a third finger in the middle, and coaxed from Paige sounds Christine never wants anyone else to hear. Those moans, those squeaks of delight are hers. Christine has scars to match. Paige has returned the favor, and because she treasures everything about her, she calls them beautiful. Scars are powerful, Paige said a few nights ago when they lay next to each other out in the green, soaking in the starlight. Scars mean survival. Christine doesn't like to think of herself as someone who survived. She prefers reborn, but Paige is all about the redefinition of self, so she hugged her and kissed her and took her back to her room. She had to run back out the next morning before class to retrieve the dewy picnic blanket before the heavens opened. Today, she contents herself with a quick and playful caress before dropping a kiss on Paige's nose and skipping off to steal her shower. A minute later, Paige joins her, opening the frosted glass door with a shyness Christine feels she's the only one to have ever seen, whispering, "Tease." They take their time getting ready. Her makeup, when she eventually replies it, receives Paige's approval on the first attempt, and they head downstairs for breakfast, on the way exchanging greetings and smiles with Julia and Yasmin, who they catch returning to Yasmin's room, their rekindled relationship apparently melting the hearts of even the second floor's most dedicated loners. Christine, Aunt B says, as they flop into the chairs in the packed kitchen table and accept coffees and plain mugs from a second-year girl Christine only sort of recognizes. You look wonderful. Paige must be rubbing off on you. At the other end of the table, Jody hiccups and inhales her orange juice. Christine, probably visibly bright red under her light foundation, doesn't believe for a second Aunt B doesn't know exactly what she's implying. That Aunt B, what a jokester. Christine can almost ignore the many disturbing things she knows or suspects about her, to which she's recently added the discovery that the nurse Karen Turner's entire electronic profile has vanished. Facebook, gone. LinkedIn, gone. Her staff page at the local hospital, gone. She's not even on the electoral roll, and when Christine used a random and miraculously still functional London payphone to call the council, she turned out not to be on their records either. The woman's just gone. The suggestion that Aunt B, or someone she's close to, is able to perform such a feat is more than a little disturbing, and Christine spent a whole afternoon last week making triple sure her unauthorized escapades around Dorley Hall have all had their digital footprints wiped clean. Whatever. Aunt B could be a mafia don and there'd still be nothing Christine can do about it, and if she did have the nurse killed and her presence scrubbed from the internet, all that means is there's one less devil in the world. She puts it out of her head. She's surprised to see Jody downstairs, though. It's not that she's unsociable, like Julia and Yasmin. She has her other friends. She also looks considerably less goth than usual. Is someone at Dorley attempting a teen movie glow-up on her? Is Aunt B? Christine hopes it backfires, and she returns to her usual all black with frills by next week. Jody, patting her chin dry with a kitchen towel, notices Christine's attention and rolls her eyes in good humour. Pippa wiggles their fingers at them. She's sitting next to Jody with a bowl of porridge and a mug that reads, "It's all fun and games until someone loses there." And Christine would ask her to turn it around so she can see what the last word is, but she can guess. To describe Dorley's institutional sense of humour as monomaniacal would be appropriate, but would leave her with no words to describe Dorley's institutional approach to the male gender. Pippa's not normally the one for the novelty mugs. She takes a more reserved view of the whole process than most of them, which is perhaps why Aunt B asked her to be a sponsor, and Christine regrets missing the look on her face when it was handed to her. Aunt B meets her eyes, raises her eyebrows, expectant. Whoops. Thank you, Aunt B, Christine says belatedly. That's very kind of you to say. She takes a deep sip of coffee so she doesn't have to expend the effort to make her smile look genuine. Aunt B's right, though. She does look good. Paige suggested a skirt and top combo that is practical terms equivalent to her habitual shorts and t-shirt, especially with a pair of bike shorts underneath, but actually makes her look, and she still struggles sometimes to say the word in her own head, cute. She likes the feeling, especially when Paige takes her in with a smile. How'd the new Goserelin injection go, she says to Pippa. That was this morning, right? Pippa swallows her porridge. Easy as pie, she says. Aunt B drums her fingers on the table for a moment. He's still cooperating. He told me he wouldn't make a fuss, and he didn't. And I overheard him talking to Aaron. She blushes her into a novelty mug, gives up fighting the pleasure and straining at the edges of her mouth. He said we're friends. Excellent work, Pippa, Aunt B says, causing a frown to flicker across Pippa's brow. No happy moment unsullied. Aunt B has a way of making any friendship between sponsor and subject unpleasantly transactional. How do you believe he'll respond when the physical changes become apparent? I'm, still not sure. He didn't seem comfortable when Aaron challenged his masculinity this morning. It might be a problem. Aunt B finishes her coffee. Then your priority is to continue to deepen your rapport. If you're his friend, become his best friend. And when the changes start, don't forget they're mandated by us, not by you. You are simply there to help him through an ordeal that you are powerless to prevent. We are his enemy, and you are his ally. That's not the way it's usually done. B must have discussed this strategy with Pippa, though, because she nods calmly. Whether or not she follows through with it doesn't especially matter, but it does at least have the benefit of not putting Pippa at odds with a Steph, who glares at his chest every morning and evening, willing it to swell. Christine's more concerned about Steph's acting skills. It's gonna be hard to coast by on fake apathy when everyone else around him is panicking. Still, she feels bad about reading the diary entries that he vouchsafes to her care, but after the showers, after the nurse, she was worried about him, and now it's become another one of the games they play, another board on which to clash. Christine smiles, remembering a 3-page tirade on the subject of Will's tiresome Reddit atheism, which, if you took out all the insulting asides directed specifically at her, would read like a first draft essay for Medium.com. God, she hopes it's only a game they're playing. She likes him a lot, but has no real idea about how he feels about her. For all she knows, he could hate her, and his little jokes might be his only way of expressing that. She needs to find a way to see him in person again, to recalibrate. Text-only friendships, if that's even what this is, suck. His true believer jabs are the only ones that seem to hit home. They remind her of the awful things they're in the process of doing to everyone down there with him, and things that she could put a stop to at a stroke, if she were willing to pay the price, which she's not. Dorley-pilled, he called her, and the worst thing is, it's accurate. She looks around the table, at Pippa, at Jodie, at Bea, most especially at Paige, and can't imagine them any other way. Fine, she can imagine Jodie a little bit more goth. She's wearing light blue and it's weird. No, Maria, it's fine. The shout echoes in the dining hall, but probably comes up from the basement stairs. It sounds like Monica, being accompanied by the staccato steps of someone wearing medium-high heels and in a seriously bad mood. I just need 10 minutes away from that odious piece of shit. 10 minutes when I don't have to breathe in his stink. 10 fucking minutes of peace and fucking quiet. Monica, charging into a full kitchen as she finishes yelling behind her, flushes when she realizes how many people, including Aunt Bea, just witnessed her outburst. She stands to attention for a moment. Christine wonders if she was ever a soldier or just an overexcited Boy Scout. Sorry, she says. Won't happen again, Aunt Bea. See that it doesn't. Now, are you okay, Monica dear? I'm okay, Monica says, dropping heavily into a rickety wooden chair by the door, the one that they stand on to change the bulbs. It's Declan. He's back among the boys as of half hour ago, and he's learned nothing of his time in the cell. Declan's out? Pippa says, dropping her spoon in her porridge and getting halfway out of her chair before Aunt Bea stops her with a hand to her shoulder. Not to worry, Pippa, Aunt Bea says. It's all under our control. Yeah, Monica says, leaning her head back against the wall and closing her eyes. Not exactly. The first thing he did was threaten Aaron and Steph. Steph. Even the sponsors call him that now. Pippa started it, and now everyone does it, including half the boys downstairs. On the day he finally extracts his head from his ass and starts thinking of himself as a girl, he's going to have the easiest name transition ever, unless he decides to go by something completely different. Some people have strong opinions about their names. Christine didn't. She had Indira pick it, with the only specification being that it shared no syllables and no initials with her dead name, deeply buried and quickly forgotten. Pippa shakes off Aunt Bea's restraining hand. He threatened Steph. What did he do? Monica's still got her eyes closed. He said, I'm coming back for you. Don't worry, Maria's still down there, and so are like 10 more of us, and the PMC guys have been told to stop napping and watch their phones. Steph's safe, Pip. All the same, Pippa says. I'm not going to the library today, I'm staying here. So, if he's under control, Paige says, innocently sipping her coffee. What's got you so pissed off? Aunt Bea directs a frown at her that Paige ignores. I'm pissed off because I have no control, Paige, Monica says, leaning forward on her knees and clenching and unclenching her fists. I'm pissed off because I shut my eyes and helped to turn a man into a bag of bruises and he just fucking grinned at me while I did it. I mortgaged my conscience for that piece of shit and he doesn't even have the decency to care. Now he's wandering around down there knowing full well that we just threw everything we had at him and he didn't break. That's not everything we have, Christine says. Has he been getting the shots? Monica nods. Then he's going to have a fun surprise soon enough. He's not going to make it that long, Monica says. He's going to revert back to his old behavior, except worse, because we made it clear that he's a block of concrete and we're a rubber fucking hammer, and create 10 times as much work for the rest of us trying to keep himself under control. That place is a shit pit of tension now he's out. The other boys are all on edge, except for Raph and Ollie, who have their big, tough role model back. That means we need to be on active duty again, twice as many of us, at all times, just when things were starting to feel nice and calm down there. Yes, well, Aunt Bea says, it doesn't do for our subjects to get too comfortable. Pippa bites her lip. And besides, the reintroduction of an undesirable element can be a catalyst. Oh, he's a fucking catalyst, all right, Monica says, standing heavily and kicking off her shoes. I'm going upstairs to get some proper shit-kicking boots on and then going back down there to spend the next 6 hours looking like I'm very much ready to kick some shit. Pray for me, girls. I still don't understand why we don't just wash him out, Pippa mutters, angrily re-engaging with her breakfast. I mean, I know that's the last resort and everything, but still. Everyone deserves a fair chance, Aunt Bea says. 4 or 5 even. If we wash people out as soon as they became difficult to handle, this house would be empty. Monica yanks at the door to the entrance hall. Not quite, she says, pausing on the threshold. It'd just be Melissa sitting alone at the kitchen table like bloody Twilight Zone. The bedrooms in the basement are, as Stefan originally observed, laid out in size like mid-budget dorm rooms, and thus can comfortably seat two, one on the bed, one on the chair, and even three if two people don't mind sitting together on the bed. At four, they get cramped. Stefan's taken the head of the bed after stuffing his pillows into the wardrobe to protect them from Aaron's roaming feet, which are unfortunately still attached to Aaron, camped out at the other end of the bed and twitching nervously. Adam's perched on the roller chair and Will's sitting with his back against the door, long legs almost interfering with the computer desk. Martin, to Stefan's relief, didn't follow Stefan and Aaron the way Will and Adam did, and presumably locked in his own room, doing whatever he normally does in the 18 hours a day he spends in there, perhaps with added Declan-related anxiety. None of them seem to want to start the conversation. Not even Aaron, who stops fidgeting after a little while, draws his feet up under himself and starts quietly drumming his fingers on his knees. Stefan puts some music on, one of Pippa's playlists, it's mostly Taylor, and decides that if no one else will break the silence, it's up to him. So, Declan, Aaron says quietly, again. What do we do about him? We go back to the old system, Will says. We've been getting slack anyway, getting soft. We stay in our group. He whirls his fingers around the room, encompassing all of them. This group. Fuck Moody Martin. He's useless. He can fend for himself. Adam reaches out towards Will, but Will ignores him. What if Martin needs our help? He says, covering for his dismay. He doesn't deserve our help, Aaron says into his chest. Hands up everyone here who's killed a guy. No one raises their hand. Exactly. I'm a bastard. Will's a bastard. Anyone's guess about Adam and Steph, but none of us are killers. So Declan can have him. He wants him. He doesn't, Stefan says, and then frowns when they all look at him. He said it quickly, but it feels right, so he interrogates it. Declan never went for him. None of them did, because he wouldn't fight back. Exactly, Will says. It's no fun when you know they can't fight back. Yeah, Aaron says. Martin would take a punch and then beg for another. He raises his hands in a pretend plea, but drops them again almost immediately. Doesn't even have it in him to shit-talk Martin properly, which is almost heartbreaking. Why'd they let him out anyway? Adam says. I've been thinking about it. It doesn't make any sense. He leans forward on his chair. People, when they get taken like that, they don't come back. I don't know, but it's fuck their authority right up, Will says. Maybe not with any of us. Don't know about you, but I don't want to spend 2 weeks getting the shit kicked out of me in a cell, and I have a healthy amount of respect for those tasers. But Declan's got them beaten. They've spent a fortnight repeatedly fucking him up, and now he's back. What about washing out? Stefan says. Will raises a dismissive hand. That's the bogeyman. Always lurking, never seen. The big threat they never deploy. Not true, unless Abby and Christine both lied, which seems unlikely at this point. The washouts go, and they don't come back. And given that anyone who went through what Declan did and subsequently got released would go straight to the police, it's not likely they go anywhere good. I'm choosing to take the threat of washing out seriously, Stefan says. Suit yourself. No, but seriously, Aaron says. What is their plan with Declan? With all of us? I mean, we all got our new Goserelin implant, right? So we're here for another month. And then another, and another. What's the end game here? Unless we all wash out in the end, some of us are walking out. And then what? We don't go to the cops? Or the papers? Out of the goodness of our hearts? And are they even going to stop with the Goserelin? Are we going to get starting some psychotropic shit next or something? What are you saying, Will says? That we're here forever? That you thought this was an experiment or something? That we'd all been gotten drunk and made to sign a consent form? 8 weeks max, you said. Yeah, and you thought it was work jail, and you thought it was demons, and I have no idea what Steph thought because he never opens his fucking mouth unless it's to needle me about my fucking dick pics, and for Christ's sake, I know that's a messed up thing to do, Steph, of course I do. And I've had more than a month in a concrete hole to think very, very hard about how absolutely incomprehensively I've fucked my life up, and you know what I've realized? I'm exactly like Martin the fucking murderer. His loving family leaned on his court. My shitty family made it all go away. He ran off from rehab because he wanted a drink. I started straight back up with my shit. I'm exactly as pathetic as he is, and I have to live with that and be brutally fucking honest. I'm almost pleased to be facing some kind of real consequence for it, if only because it'll piss off my family, but I still go to bed every night thinking about it, so you please stop bothering me with it every single fucking day. Yeah, Stefan says. I'm sorry, I get it. You don't want to hang out with a little freak pervert. No, you're shit. Aaron, you're my friend. No point pretending like he's not anymore. What's that saying? There are no atheists in foxholes? Well, maybe there are no truly healthy friendships in the Dorley basement. No ethical fraternity and late-stage feminization. Anyway, his moral high ground is a lie. All of them here fucked up and hurt people, including Stefan. He barely knows his parents anymore, and his sister, his excuse, is a near stranger because he decided closing himself off completely after Melissa was a better option than facing up to his shit. Sure, it felt safer at the time to burn away quietly over years rather than take a risk, but there's no such thing as self-immolation without collateral damage. No son/daughter for his parents, no brother/sister for Petra, no best friend for Russ when he needed one the most. All his fault. He hurt people. It almost feels good to realize it. That's a joke, Aaron says. We're not friends, we're just here at the same time. No, Stefan says, reaching forward, risking the contact. Aaron doesn't flinch at the hand on his arm. I mean it. Look, I've been alone for a long time. I wrecked everything out there. Lost everyone. Was barely even talking to my housemates by the time I got dragged down here. And actually meeting you, all of you, has been, I don't know, healing? I used to have two best friends. One left me, the other one I left, and I've been missing them both ever since. And you, I have something I haven't had since I had them. I'm being serious, Aaron. You're my friend. I fucking like you, okay? And don't give me that look, Will. Unless you think the emotion we call friendship is queer or something. I haven't been as close to anyone since Russ or Melissa. Oh, shit, Aaron says. Are we finally getting your tragic backstory? No, Stefan says, and then remembers. Not enough Paragon points. Hey, no callbacks. I'm sorry. I won't bug you again about it. Good, Aaron says. Thanks. Fuck, and hey, sorry about the feelings, William. By the door, Will throws up his hands in exasperated surrender. You're all gay, he says. Fuck it. Stefan takes Aaron's hand, meets his eye, and cocks an eyebrow. Aaron nods, and together they look over at Will. Stefan makes a kissy face and says, and that's why you love us. And is relieved when, after a moment's conflicted hesitation, Will laughs. Steph's screwed. He has to be. He's down there, under pressure, having already cracked at least once, having tried to hurt himself in the shower, having been made practically catatonic by that nurse's assault, and now Declan's back, throwing his weight around, making insinuations and threats, amping up stress levels. Monica called it a shit pit of tension down there. How long until Steph, trying to adjust to another new normal, fucks up and exposes his true self to a man already predisposed to violence towards him? Will even Maria and Monica's 24-hour attention be enough to protect him from the consequences of that? God, and as Steph accidentally outing himself gets back to Aunt B, that's everything Christine wanted to prevent in the first place. There's no telling what B would do. If anything, the ambiguous fate of the nurse has left Christine more scared of her than she used to be. Shit. Christine's well aware that she's spiraling. She excused herself from the kitchen table and practically ran upstairs, shut herself in her room, faked a forgotten assignment when Paige messaged her, and now she's lying on her bed, drumming her fingers against the frame, wishing for a cigarette. She needs to situate herself when she gets like this. She needs context, she needs information, but she's already messaged Steph and got no reply. She's messaged Abby for moral support, no reply there either, and with that she's got nowhere to turn to except the security feeds. She's out of confidence. No, almost out of confidence. She yanks her laptop open, loads the consensus app, and starts thinking through how to translate Steph's situation onto that of the anonymous friend she invented weeks ago. Welcome to Trans Youth UK, not affiliated with the Egg Society of Britain. All usual consensus rules apply. Click here for server rules. Obey them or be gone. Christine. Hi everyone, me again. Oh hey Lorna. Oh my god, Tina, hi. Her name's Christine, not Tina. I call her Tina, but it says Christine, and I call her Tina. Christine has changed her name to Tina. Ha! Please stop owning Penny. They're very delicate about how easily owned they are. God damn it. Lorna, how's Vicky? Tell her to visit. We miss her. She misses you. She misses you too. She just hasn't been by because she doesn't want to get in the way of you two lovebirds. Wait, there are lovebirds? Where? Are there pictures? What have we said about Horny Jail? Penny? That it's a real place that you'll personally escort me to if I'm inappropriate in front of anyone else? Believe there was a Shiba Inu involved too. Okay, this is weird. I'm changing it back. Tina has changed her name to Christine. Does this mean I'm still owned? Obviously. Do you all just dunk on Penny all day on here? They do, Tina, and they're so mean to me. Every day I get up, I'm subjected to so many awful things. That's terrible. Bad, Lorna. Hey, it's mostly Alex, to be honest. Girl Alex. It's true. I came out only a few months ago, and the universe saw it fit to grant me a horrible little gremlin to message me weird internet porn in the small hours. Make fun of my boyfriend. But your boyfriend's so rubbish, he makes it easy. I'm screenshotting everything you say about him. He owns a technology company. He can make your phone explode. Bitch, Motorola already made my phone explode. Your boyfriend sucks. Hey, I actually came online for a reason. I have kind of a problem, like the last one I was on here. Sorry, I'll swear I'll come on socially at least once before the end of the year. Is it okay if I get straight into it, even if it's really depressing? Oh no, Tina, is something wrong? I'm fine, Lorna, but I'm really worried about my friend, the one I talked about last time. She's still in a bad environment, surrounded by guys who are mostly not actively unfriendly, but almost entirely unknown how they respond to trans girls, and she's just started hormones. How just? Yesterday? A week ago? 2 weeks ago, and blockers for about a month. I've been doing my best to support her, but I guess I've been a bit wrapped up in my own thing lately. Not as much help as I should have been. Kind of distracted. Distracted by Paige. Not just Paige, but yeah, mostly. The thing is, things have been kind of calm for her lately. False insecurity for her and me, but now a guy has come back from holiday and he's the worst of all of them. He's already tried to hurt her once, and I don't think it's because he figured her out. He's just an awful guy. I'm scared he's going to try again. And I'm even more scared that with her starting to change physically, that he'll work out what/who she is and make it 10 times worse for her. Okay, so that's bad, definitely, but I think you can take a breath here, Tina, because apart from this dangerous guy being back, nothing's really changed. What about when she starts to show? What about it? I don't get the impression she's going to start running around and saying, I love my new breasts, right? That's unlikely. So this is the thing. Cis people do not see this kind of thing. Like, ever. I know that sounds kind of fake, but it's true. Almost none of them ever look at a boy, even one who is visibly gender variant, and ask them if they're trans. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, okay, maybe it happens in like queer circles where everyone's a little bit gender, but ordinary men and women, the ones the cishets, they don't see anything. If the guys who your friends live with see nothing but an AMAG kid with, I'm guessing, personality close up tighter than her hoodie, none of them are going to ask, hey kid, are you by any chance an egg? It doesn't happen. We're the last resort of cis people's imaginations. They'll ask if we're two sheep in a trench coat before they ask if we're trans. You really think they won't see anything? That she can just keep going as she is? I mean, it depends if she starts doing voice work or wearing affirming clothes or something, but from what it sounds like, she's just trying to stop the testosterone in its tracks and start her body fixing itself, right? She's going to wait until it's safer to actually socially transition. Probably yes. Think she'll be okay then? I hope so anyway. Obviously there can be variables, but I don't think her situation just got significantly worse. I don't think you need to start panicking just yet. I don't know about this. I'm not so sure that cis people won't ever guess. Alex, no. Your experience does not apply. I know your boss was wondering if you were trans before even you were, but you were literally in a dress and puckering your lips at him for days on end. I didn't pucker. Mostly I panicked. You panicked in a dress though. You can't deny it. We've all seen the pictures. You were on boothbabes.co.uk. Lorna's right. You don't exactly have a typical transition story. Oh? Girl Alex. Technically I was force-femmed. What? It was a whole thing. She learned about force-femme stuff like a week ago and she won't shut up about it. She thinks it's terribly funny. You mean force-femmed in stories, right? Fiction? What else? Okay, good, just checking. Are you really alright? Yeah, it's a whole new world for me. I am but a naive little cis girl. And you're doing very well. Lorna, can we keep her? No, she's spoken for. And you didn't feed the last cis girl you brought home. We don't have to feed her. She works in her office. She buys her own food. Wow, defensive much? Christine's halfway through her next message when the door slowly opens and Paige steps carefully through. She smiles, but it's a nervous smile. One that causes Christine's heart to lurch, so she quickly types out a grateful goodbye, closes her laptops, and stands up from the bed. Paige takes a step back, leans against the door, and Christine, limbs going cold, doesn't move any closer. She doesn't know what's going on, but Paige hasn't seemed this brittle since the end of their second year, when Aunt B locked her in a room for a week. Paige, Christine says, you don't have an assignment due, do you? Paige says. She's hugging herself, balling her fists in the fabric of her long dress, drawing it up almost to her knees. Shit. No, Christine says. You seemed so scared when you left the table. More than you would just be for schoolwork. It was more like the way you used to get, years ago, when you thought you'd done something wrong. When you were waiting for the consequences to find you, and when you lied, and you told me you had some assignment to do, It's not anything bad, Christine says, wanting her to desperately to move towards her, but anchoring herself with the fear that if she does and Paige bolts and she can't get to her, that this might all end. Paige, the girl who has endless confidence and boundless grace until sometimes, suddenly, she doesn't. Are you seeing someone else? Paige says. Christine's reply is instant. No. They never agreed to be exclusive, never really talked about whether or not they're girlfriends, yet they both know they are. They fell deep in love with each other, almost too quickly for Christine to really figure out what she was doing. Almost too quickly, because the lies, like the guilt, are weighing on her. Paige nods. Okay, would you like a cup of tea? Christine nods, confused. Yes. Good, because there's something going on that I don't know about, something that makes you really scared sometimes, something that makes you close your laptop when I look over, something that is really important to you but which excludes me. And I need to know what it is, Christine. So I'm going to go around the corner to the kitchen, make us both a cup of tea, and when I come back, I want you to have to decide whether or not you want to tell me, okay? Christine sits down on the bed, slowly moving every limb with care so as not to overbalance. She looks up at Paige, sees the tear tracks on her face, and knows at that moment she will never keep anything from her ever again. Okay, Christine says. Will predicted that Declan, Raph, and Ollie will have taken over the sofas by the TV, and sure enough, when they returned to the common room, there they were, slouching across as much space as possible, marking their new territory. But it didn't take a lot of 4 versus 3 intimidation to get them to shift back to their usual spot in the metal tables. Between the numbers disadvantage and a room full of women with weapons, Will's gamble worked. Declan might not be intimidated by the worst that Dorley can dish out, as far as he understands it anyway, but clearly he doesn't want to go straight back into a cell before enjoying a single night in a soft bed. They've never actually properly thrown down with any of us, right? Will said, back in Stefan's room. Yeah, they've chucked the odd plate, made threats, but correct me if I'm wrong, the only time they ever actually came at us was Declan with you two in the showers, right? And all he really managed then was knocking you on the floor, Aaron. And Steph made him look like an idiot, Aaron said, grinning. Not the point. With anyone else, I'd expect them to respect you for outsmarting them, but Declan's thicker than a pig's knuckle. That wouldn't have even occurred to him. But what he does know is that we're all basically unknown prospects, yeah? As long as at least his height and his build is concerned, Adam's slim, but not at all weak. We arm wrestled, Aaron said. And I only just won, and you two, you're both kind of small, but anyone who's been in a real fight knows you can't discount the skinny guys. It's the skinny guys who are quick, skinny guys who'll break a bottle over your face, shove a plastic fork up your nose, Aaron muttered. So, Will continued, ignoring Aaron, we're a united front. Like before, only more so. We do everything together. No exceptions. One of us has to piss, we all have to piss. I don't care, and Aaron, before you say it, if it makes us look like a bunch of schoolgirls. You'll have to learn how to make sacrifices if you don't want to get your face split open. Declan and his cheerleaders are going to want to get us alone, and we don't let them. Agreed? Stefan, sitting in his usual spot in the sofas and filtering out the vast majority of the baking show on the TV, is still a little surprised they're able to push Declan's lot back onto the tables, and reluctantly he gives Will a few points on his internal scoreboard. It was him who did most of the talking after all. Stefan's not entirely able to relax though. Not just yet. Not with his back to the room and Declan undoubtedly irritated, so he keeps his ears open. Half to Aaron's prattle, reassuringly resumed after an unsettling period of keeping his thoughts mostly inside of his head, and half to Declan, Raph, and Ollie's conversation, in case there's anything of value to be found there. He's never actually listened to them before, not really, and mostly they talk about what they would have guessed. Mishmash of sexist and racist jokes, some bravado about a time in their life they kicked a particularly large amount of ass, that sort of thing. And after a while, a lot of tedious and unpleasant chat Stefan is trying to forget, Declan starts dominating the conversation, going over a time when a former girlfriend, one of the ones he hit apparently, returned to his place to pick up some of her things. And Declan had a lot to drink that night, and she had a smart mouth on her, and he was feeling, oh God. Declan is describing a rape, and he thinks it's funny. It's over in less than 5 seconds. Almost before he knows what he's doing, Stefan's vaulted over the back of the sofa and launched himself at Declan, catching him hard enough in the face to knock him off his seat and onto the floor. And as Declan stares up at him, confused, clutching his nose, Stefan cradles his fist in his other hand, flexing his thumb. He punched with his thumb inside of his fist, a rookie move. And as the room slowly turns around and starts to react, Stefan realizes he doesn't regret hitting Declan at all. Not even if he gets back up. Not even if he balls those huge fists of his. Not even if he shouts his name with venom and spittle. He wants a fight? Fuck it. He can have one. End of chapter 13.